Losing a loved one is not only a sad time, but it can also be a confusing and trying time when attempting to figure out what to do with their assets and their estate. Attorney Ryan Simmons with the Higgins Firm recently stopped by to explain. And we've got Ryan Simmons in the studio with us today. Ryan, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
All right, we know this is a tough time for anyone when they have a loved one who passes away, and we know that oftentimes when that happens, their estate has to be probated. So tell us a little bit about what this means.
Yeah, so probate can take many different forms. The word can mean a few different things. Oftentimes it can mean to go through and validate a will. But most often people will think of probate as the court that goes through and handles the administration of assets after someone's passed away. So in order to go through and get started, one of the most important things is to go through and do a review of somebody's important paperwork. Be able to go through and determine what type of assets they may have, whether it's titles to land, titles to a car, and you may be able to go through and determine whether they had a will or not as well.
Okay. Now, would you say that all estates need to be probated and assets too? Do they need to go through court?
So that's a good question. It really depends on the types of assets that there are. So oftentimes you may go through and you have an asset that is solely owned and wouldn't have a beneficiary designation on that asset.
Okay.
So then at that point, that's when the estate or the asset would need to be probated. So for instance, you may have a bank account that has a beneficiary designation on it. Most oftentimes somebody may have a payable on death designation. Oftentimes that asset will pass automatically at the time of a person's passing, so that won't have to go through probate. But if somebody has a bank account and they don't have anybody else listed on there, there's no co-owner, that would have to be administered by the probate court. And so that's kind of what we're here for, to go through and help people in that case.
Okay, gotcha. You know, we were talking earlier, this is a really hard time for a lot of folks, but you guys are really helping them, get through all of this in the easiest way possible. Tell us when somebody should meet with you. Should this happen right away?
Yeah, so definitely, and understandably, this is a difficult time for people. It's hard once you've experienced the loss, and so whenever you do go through that time, it's okay to take a few weeks. It's okay to go through and gather your thoughts, because immediately you may not be thinking of, oh, I need to go through and handle these assets. That may not be your first concern. But after time, if you go through and you're able to go through and kind of collect your thoughts, collect your feelings, you're able to go through and determine some of these assets, whether or not they need to be probated, feel free to give us a call. We'd be able to go through and advise you one way or another as to what should be done.
All right, helping out a lot of people. Ryan, thank you so much.
Thanks.
The Higgins Firm is serving Tennessee. Give them a call at 1-800-705-2121 or go to thehigginsfirm.com.